name's Paul, or the Happy Gilder. Welcome to my channel. I'm basically an amateur glass artist from the UK, and I've been doing it for about 5 or 6 years, but only really as a hobbyist, so I kind of wanted to share some of the things that I make, or share the method of making them. I thought I'd set up a channel, starting off in this video where I'm going to kind of go over how to make a very basic reverse painted mirror. But for now, I just wanted to kind of get the ball rolling. And if there's any interest, you know, I plan on doing a video quite regularly. This is just a hobby to me, but hopefully, you know, if I've got free weekends, I can make a video on a specific topic, starting with something basic, and then hopefully, you know, if it does gain some traction and people like it, going all the way up to some of the really complex things like, you know, 23 karat gold leaf application. I'm going to go through the processes from getting it from a digital file, vectorizing that, getting it cut out into a mask that's going to go onto the mirror, and then the kind of manual processes that are going to come after that. Okay, so I'm just going to open the image in Photoshop. You don't need Photoshop, I think you can do this in Paint, but I'm just going to resize it because the piece of glass I've got is 8 by 10 inches. So this is just a standard image off Google, and I'm just resizing it to 8 by 10 inches. I'm going to import that into Vinyl Master LTR. I think it's the lowest end version that Vinyl Master do, but it's been perfect for me. It's basically going to vectorize our sort of pixel based image. So it's so simple, you just kind of import the image in, press the vectorize button, and it does the rest for you. Now if you're going to use this, you need to make sure that you only have one color. There where I unchecked the white so that you can see the transparency in the background. If you don't do that, that's going to cut out the black and then cut the exactly around the same path for the white layer. If I could give one bit of advice on this, it's don't sort of be cheap on the cutter. I've been through 2 sort of cheap vinyl cutters and they're rubbish. They just don't cut the sort of letters accurately. They malfunction, and it's just more trouble than it was worth. So the one I've got, in this software as well, you need to make sure when you send it to cut that you're checking mirror, because what we want is a mirrored version of this because we're applying it to the back of the glass. So the vinyl cutter I've got is a GCC Expert 2. It's not top of the range, it's about mid-range, but I think it's absolutely brilliant. I paid about £700 for it. That's all the techie stuff over, so now what I've got to do is get the design that we've just cut on from the vinyl onto the back of the mirror. So our 8 by 10 inch mirror here, the design, which you're not going to be able to see because it's fine lines on the black vinyl, application tape, scissors, a craft knife and a squeegee. So firstly, when you're applying application tape to vinyl, one of the things that I've kind of learned through trial and error is the kind of follow the curve which the vinyl's been wrapped around a roll, so it's going to have this kind of natural curve. If, you know, we try and apply this tape down this way, you're more than likely going to get air bubbles because it's going to spring up as you're applying it, and it's a bit of a nightmare. You're more than likely going to have to start again. So the way I would always do it is have the curve facing the way that I'm going to apply the application tape, and then use something, a bit of wood, in this case a paint tin, to just hold it down so that where you're going to start along here is nice and flat to the surface. So it's always best to get more than you need, so we can trim it off afterwards. So now what we're looking to do is apply this sort of right in front of this. So let's move this around a bit. So apply this right in front so that it just starts to touch the vinyl, and then we can slowly sort of apply it quite smoothly. So I'm just going to put this down gently, start on the worktop until you get to the edge of the vinyl. And that's cool. Do that with the finger, and then with the squeegee just push that down nice and firm. So then move in the kind of whatever it is, in this case the paint tin, back, and then just sliding this really gradually, probably about 10 mil at a time, and applying sort of quite a decent amount of pressure. So applying it like this is you know, in this very gradual way is the best way to not end up with any air bubbles. So that's done. And that's it, ready to apply. It's worth just giving it a kind of once over just to make sure that it's nice and firm all over, sort of an even distribution all over that. And then just to double check, I know this is the right size because we resized the file to 8 or 10 inches. So the way we need to apply this is to make sure it goes on perfectly. Now my way of doing that is to take a kind of corner and then just expose probably about an inch of the tacky side of the vinyl, and then just score that down there, so you're just exposing, yeah, this inch section, and then when you put this face down, the bit of the backing tape will hold that sticky bit away, so you can position this exactly how, you know, make sure running your sort of fingers around the edges to make sure that's flush to each edge. And then once you're happy with that, you can kind of just push that down, and then using the same action as the way I applied the backing tape is the same way to apply the vinyl to the back of the mirror. Now, another thing which I've learned through trial and error is that you need to be quite careful with this. Now, depending on how your vinyl cutter is set up, if the blade is set to go too deep through the vinyl and then touching the backing paper, it almost makes the smaller areas of that vinyl stick to the backing paper. So if you just kind of whip this off, you could end up with that having the majority, or even, well, just small bits of the design on it. Another thing as well is I would always pull it directly upwards and not out like this. Firstly, you kind of got really good visibility of anything that is coming off, so that you can roll it back down and then kind of using your scalpel just pick that back in. But it also seems to be a much smoother way and better way without pulling stuff off. Now, I am confident with my vinyl cutter settings, so I can just sort of pull this up like that, but I then pull it halfway, hold it like this, and then using, again, the same technique, about 10mm at a time, just slowly smooth this onto the glass, onto the back of the glass. Once you're halfway, you kind of roll this up. Now this, when you first do it, is quite awkward, so it's good to practice on a kind of small bit like this. But once you've kind of done it a few times, it's sort of muscle memory thing, and then it's easy to do on even kind of things that are like a metre by a metre. So just kind of smoothing that down exactly the same way. Then we can kind of get that backing tape off. The application tape. Again, with this, we don't want to be pulling this upwards because there's a chance this is obviously stuck to your design. It's not as tacky as the side of the vinyl that's stuck to the mirror, but it has happened before. If you just pull this up, you could end up with bits of the design on it. So I always just pull it directly towards me. And I think it's the safest way to do it. Again, as well, if anything starts plucking up around this area, you'll be able to sort of catch it with your knife and just put it back down. So just pull that across like that. And that's the design applied to the back, ready for picking. Now I'm just going to do this next bit of time lapse, so I'll stop this video now and pick it, and then we can go into the shed. Mirror's ready, and what I'm going to do is this vinyl that we've applied is going to act as a mask against the aluminium oxide sand that I'm going to use to sandblast the back coating off the mirror. So this is a bit overkill for a home sandblaster. You can get these quite small, sort of like a mini version if you're only going to be doing small projects. You can also get, if you don't mind making a mess, things like the equivalent of a kind of spray gun for spraying paint, but it'll have a ceramic nozzle, and you can put your aluminium oxide on that and connect it to a compressor, It is going to go everywhere, but I mean it's cheap. They're about £20 or something like that. So I'm just going to get this in here and then get started. So in here what we've got is our mirror and our sandblasting nozzle. So foot pedal down here, and that's connected to this compressor. That's all the blasting complete. So when we get this out, this is the back side that we've just sandblasted, and this is the front. So I'm not sure if we can see if we hold this up to the light, but you know, you can make kind of backlit mirrors if you have some kind of LED system inside here, or just some LED strip lights. But I'm just going to paint this one using standard enamel sign writing paints. So our mirror's ready, glass is cleaned, it's looking quite nice. So what I'm going to do now, paint the areas that we sandblasted with standard sign writing enamel. So just going to do a combination of black and the duck egg blue, which is similar colours to what I used in the design which is in the show. Well, you can be very haphazard with this, you know, you don't have to worry about going out the lines. So I'm just going to really basically paint in these areas. The only thing I've really got to be concerned about, I suppose, is this area that's going to be blue, that we don't get any black into here, but everything else is fine. Just very, very loosely paint that and get it all covered. I should really leave this to dry. It can take, you know, 12 to 24 hours depending on the paint, but it's quite a basic design. The paint's quite tacky, so you can at least have a little look at the results, which I think it's come out quite nicely. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to be trying to make one every weekend, showing some of the techniques that were in the sort of intro video. So gilding, mirror making, glue chipping, acid etching. I'm not planning on doing them in any particular order, so if anyone's got a specific request that they want me to do, just comment and I'll try and push that one to the top and get something planned. So if you like the video, please subscribe to this channel and share it with anyone who you think would find it interesting. Thanks very much, and hopefully see you next weekend.